Donald Trump is losing. Donald Trump is failing. MAGA movement is ending. The Epstein files have finally been released, and we know the truth. We know it all. And guess what? I will vote for Donald Trump. Guess what? They don't want to vote for Donald Trump anymore. They realize that it is all a sham. They've been lied to. The propaganda has hit them in the realest way. Look at this shit, bro. Look at this shit. It's been a day since your boy Trump and his cronies have been exposed for being Epstein affiliates. They've been exposed, right? But guess what? You go to Fox News, you search Epstein. What do you get? You get 2 different articles in the past 24 hours. And this one says Epstein emails released as DOJ says no criminal or inappropriate conduct by Trump. What are you talking about? The Epstein files literally said that Donald Trump was at a party underage girls to figure out who had the tightest. That sounds pretty inappropriate to me. Fox News. Giants co-owner Steve Tisch exchanged emails with Jeffrey Epstein. How much you want to bet Steve Tisch is a Democrat? But let's read this article. I didn't even read this article yet. Let me see what these bastards have to say. Let's see. The Justice Department released more than 3 million Jeffrey Epstein records, including his personal emails Friday, and with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche telling Fox News Digital that in none of these communications, even when doing his best to disparage President Trump, did Epstein suggest President Trump had anything to do criminal or had any inappropriate contact with any of the fucking victims. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Hold on. As an Attorney General Todd Blanche. Attorney General Todd Blanche, in his personal emails on Friday, told Fox News in none of these communications, and even when he was doing his best to disparage President Trump, that Epstein suggests President Trump had done anything criminal or had any inappropriate contact with any of his victims. Epstein himself says, oh no, Donald Trump, he's innocent. That's what Epstein said. Epstein says Donald Trump is innocent. Get the fuck out of here. We're supposed to believe Epstein? Hold on. We're supposed to pick between the 2 convicts who we trust more. And we're picking Epstein. Get the fuck out of here. During the course of our investigation, we seized years and years worth of Epstein's personal emails. Todd Blanche told Fox News Digital. These are communications with hundreds and hundreds of individuals discussing intimate details of Epstein's and other lives, all right? In none of these communications, even when doing his best to disparage President Trump, did Epstein suggest President Trump had anything criminal or had any inappropriate contact with any of his victims. Wait, but wouldn't the Mossad agent keep his target at watch? You know, if Donald Trump's getting arrested for being a fucking that'd be a problem. If we need to control him. That's just my theory here. I'm just theorizing. Maybe that's why Epstein would have said such a thing that is clearly a lie. Fox News Digital first obtained newly declassified emails from the Epstein case Friday morning. The Justice Department is expected to release more than 3 million pages of records from the files today. Bro, I wonder, if I'm working at Fox News, right, and my job is to create articles of propaganda to push out, is my boss sitting over my shoulder reading every word saying, hey, yo, you got to word it like this. You got to remember, Epstein didn't like Trump. We got to be sure to mention that in the article so it can further push our point that there's no way that Epstein would be lying about Trump being innocent because he didn't like him, right? This is what you have to put in the article. Make sure you include that so we can hone in on our subliminal propaganda narrative driving. Right, that's what it just seems like to me. Because I mean, anywhere else you read, why do we need to know that Epstein at that time wasn't supportive of Trump? If you're not subtly trying to make me believe something. But imagine only reading Fox News. Imagine that being your life. The new record mentioning the president largely show Epstein showing his disdain for Trump and criticizing him during his first administration. Right, because we got to keep honing in on this point. We got to keep letting the world know that Epstein did not with Trump because it is important that this is part of the narrative of why all of this shit is a lie. That is, you know what I mean? But I want to see if they even get to the details of what was even said about Trump. Fox News. Let's see. But one email reviewed by Fox News Digital was from March 2016 between Epstein and the Arthur reporter Michael Wolff. In the email, Wolff is encouraging Epstein to come with an immediate counter-narrative to James Patterson's book about him, Filthy Rich, a powerful billionaire, the sex scandal that undid him, and all the justice and money can buy. You do need an immediate counter-narrative to the book. Wolff writes, I believe Trump offers an ideal opportunity. It is a chance to make the story about something other than you, while at the same time letting you frame your own story. Also, becoming anti-Trump gives you a certain political power, which you decidedly don't have now, he continues. In another email 3 years later, in January 2019, Epstein writes to Wolff, of course he knew about the girls, and he asks Ghislaine to stop. In another email, February 2019, Epstein writes a long email to Wolff, noticing that redacted worker at Mar-a-Lago and that Trump knew of it and came to my house many times during that period. Interesting stuff. I don't even know what the fuck to make of this, because I don't get what the point is right at this point. He never got massages, Epstein wrote. Really? Donald Trump, who has been on Epstein Island, and the premier adventure to experience on Epstein Island is the underage massages by little preteen hands. That is like the golden ticket. When you get to Epstein Island, this is exactly what you do. You get massages from little pubescent teens. Yet Trump, he's just too great of a guy. He just resisted the urge to get those tiny little fingers all in his back. I don't believe that shit. But anyway, Epstein then goes on to discuss the business arrangement involving Trump relating to a friend who's also having financial difficulty with assisted living homes. Oh, Fox News. Look how great a guy Trump is. He's out here helping his financially inept friend who has also lived in assisted living homes. That's super relatable to anybody who's had a family member who needs to live in a assisted living home, man. Fox News, keep honing in on his message, man. We love it. We love it. The propaganda it's amazing this time of year. In another email to Wolff in January 2018, Epstein is complaining about the president, saying he doesn't take advice and that his children have little experience and poor judgment. There are huge discrepancies. His real net worth, Epstein writes to Wolff. Full disclosure will make it clear. There are huge discrepancies. Oh, okay, so this is how Fox News makes it seem like, all right, we're not going to be like fully on Trump's nuts. We're also going to, throw this in here to make it look like, we're a little bit, not, we're in the middle here because maybe Trump is lying about his net worth type shit. Epstein also in January 2018 continues mocking Trump, calling him a dopey Donald and demented Donald, and complains about his finances and acquisitions and relationship with the Deutsche Bank. Meanwhile, in emails between Epstein and Thomas Landon and the New York Times in January 2018, Landon asked if Epstein is still in touch with Wolff, who had published his book Fire and Fury about Trump. Great. So this is what they have to say. The rest of this shit, it doesn't even matter, because guess what? Donald Trump is all of the Epstein files, and they're not even going to attempt to talk about that. They're not going to talk about all the bullshit, which I'm going to show you motherfuckers exactly what I'm talking about, because this is crazy. There's still 2 million documents that we know of that haven't been released. Boom. This is what the Fox News audience is saying. Unfortunately for him, we can read the files ourselves. At least where they haven't been redacted. Look at this shit. So why are there so many full-page redactions? What is Trump hiding? If someone believed that the gangster would appear conclusively in any of the blackened documents, sorry, I have a bridge to sell you. The DOJ is one of the most lethal, get the fuck out of here, instruments of war inside the U.S. against anyone who dares to oppose or call him out. Nothing good can be expected from Barbie Bondi. Right. So this is Fox News audience. It's good to know that they're not falling victim to the fucking propaganda. See, I'm sick to death with stories about this glorified pimp and his evil island hangout. Hope this last dump of information about the Epsteins satisfies the thirst of those that keep this story alive. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm sick of this story too. But guess who's been punished? Guess who has gotten in trouble for this shit? Ghislaine Maxwell. That's it. That's the only person. People want justice for every sick fuck who was involved in this whole bonanza. They all need to be taken down. Every single one of them. I don't care who they are, what they do. They need to be taken out of here, bro. This shit is disgusting. Trump might have been the House fluffer for a decade, and the DOJ would have found no criminal or inappropriate contact. Perhaps it depends on what the DOJ definition of inappropriate is. Crazy. The DOJ did not. How the fuck is the DOJ gonna say they found no criminal or inappropriate conduct? Which is crazy. I gotta figure this shit. What are they talking about? The article doesn't mention the calendar girl parties at Mar-a-Lago, FBI. Look, bro, the Fox News commoners know more about this shit than Fox News is putting out there. Or the current commerce secretary's email to Epstein wanting to go to his island. He was Epstein's neighbor in Upper East Side of New York City. Fox has this story buried nice and deep on their site. I guess thousands of victims and high-profile suspects isn't a big enough story for them. Fox narrative. Hopefully other medias will cover it. I think I have early onset TDS. Amazing. With all of the files being released, there doesn't seem to be even one about the billions of dollars that went through his account. Guess they forgot to look into the financials. Or did. Or they did. Or there was nothing there. Release of some inconsistencies, redacted documents, and not releasing millions of other documents looks like three-card Monte. Not sure people will accept this subterfuge. People are not accepting this bullshit. But guess what? Hold on. Because the propaganda is too fucking strong these days. You already know Midas Touch is going to be on it. I seen this one, Midas Touch. They are godsend, bro. Godsend. Yes, Trump is in the Epstein file. I'm going to check this one out. 300 fucking thousand views. How is this possible?
What's up, guys? Benny. The DOJ woke up today and chose violence. First, they indicted Lon Lemon and arrested him, and then they released all of the Epstein files, or at least millions upon millions of files, photographs, and videos that everybody is still going through right now. It's going to take a long time. But they've done it, and we've been looking at them, and there are some very, very juicy and very interesting things in these files. Like, for instance, there's a considerable number of emails about Bill Gates and what a monster Bill Gates is. Now, Bill Gates denies what's in these emails, but they say that Bill Gates destroyed his marriage by giving his wife an STD because he kept sleeping with Russian hookers.
Wow.
That's what Jeffrey Epstein writes. And that he had to get Bill Gates a bunch of special drugs in order to try and fix his STD. Maybe this is why Bill Gates is paying Jeffrey Epstein? This is Jeffrey Epstein's desk, and you can see $1 here signed by Bill Gates. I was wrong. Was that a wager that he wouldn't get an STD? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not up to me. We're just trying to interpret them as quickly as we can and to give you all of the important information out of this massive drop of files. See, ladies and gentlemen, obviously this is creating quite a few headlines already. Today, we are looking now further at the DOJ's files, and you can see pages like this one that include an enormous number of allegations against Donald Trump. Very lurid child exploitation allegations, the details of which I'm not going to read to you. You're welcome to read them all on the internet. I'm showing you this at the Department of Justice website right now. So this is the DOJ website. This is the official one. It is, what you get when you search for President Trump and you find, grotesque predation allegations that were called into a tip line. All right. Libs online are going through and saying, look, they got him. Epstein files feature numerous allegations made against Donald Trump. And there was also a hoax. There was literally a fake news story that the DOJ was deleting all of these files. It's not true. Here they are live right now on the DOJ website. They're all gone. They've all been deleted. That's not true. Here they are live and active right now. There's the data set searching for Trump. again, you're welcome to go read all of this. You're welcome to see and observe and Google anything that you want, but you need to also lock in to the column that was deleted here by the Midas Touch morons about Trump and these allegations, because they're deleting a column for a specific reason. That the person making these allegations is deemed not credible and has a history of mandatory psychiatric evaluations. Complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate incidents involving police watch and requested mandatory psychiatric evaluations. So people lost their minds. What they did was they opened season on Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump allegations, and then a bunch of insane people called in from Australia, other random countries. Here you go. Here's how it works. I stated previously these allegations came from random people, including in Australia. Again, people are posting these deceptively, editing out the most important part, that these cases are deemed not credible, secondhand, or invalid. These entries are details of calls made to the tip line, so any crackpot can just call the tip line. And I think this is what is critically important in all of this, is that you need to understand that the reason that Democrats have wanted these files to be released is because they know that any sociopath, any type of jackwagon can call in and say whatever lurid or horrific.
All right. I didn't know that. I was following the Midas Touch narrative. That's disappointing. Now, I did hear something about it was a non-credible source. That's his only argument, though. Little awkward here, because the way I started this video was completely opposite to what I've just seen. I'm a little bit embarrassed about how hard I went. But I don't know, man. This propaganda is too real, bro. There's clear evidence that they're still suppressing information. Why would this be a part of the Epstein files itself? I'm not even going to allow this to completely misconfigure my whole idea of what's going on here, because this is crazy, man. I'm just a normal person, all right? I'm just looking into this stuff. I haven't read through the files myself, so take this with a grain of salt. But the propaganda is real regardless. On both sides, you got Democrat propaganda, you got Republican propaganda. The reality is we want to know the truth, right? So these credible sources are the people who are talking about Bill Gates. Are those credible sources too? Or they're not credible sources? Because I'm confused. Because if we're going to make this about Bill Gates and not about Trump, then how do we determine what's credible and what's not? Because he didn't talk about the credibility of the claims against Bill Gates. That's what I want to know. Where's the credibility in those claims if you're going to say the claims against Trump are non-credible? Because the thing is, it's more worrisome if Trump is perpetrating some of these evils, in my opinion. And I'm here as a non-biased news source. Maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. I don't like the Trump administration. That's the truth here. That is the absolute truth. I don't like the Trump administration, but I'm willing to find out truth, man, because, you know, this is about truth here. It's about truth. Benny Johnson, I'd never seen his videos. I don't know what his size
or grotesque,
but it don't matter.
Detailed
about the truth, right?
Predation allegations, and it'll get recorded in the files. And then dishonest people can clip out that these are not true allegations or credible allegations. They actually come from very broken people that want attention and need psychiatric help. They'll clip that out, and then you can create a fake news cycle and give people what they want. But that's not true. And the Trump administration, to their credit, is publishing this stuff, but they're also publishing with the actual conclusion of and the response of the team here, which I think is critical. Here is Todd Blanchie, the Deputy Attorney General. In none of these communications, even when doing his best to disparage President Trump, did Epstein suggest President Trump had done anything criminal or inappropriate to any of his victims. That's also what Ghislaine Maxwell says. That's also what Virginia Roberts.
Again, I don't believe Ghislaine Maxwell or Epstein. The whole situation is if Epstein is a fucking Mossad agent who's here to conduct activities of control of political controllers, if that's his whole thing, then of course he's going to lie. Like, why are we believing? Why do we just, okay. In the court of law, this is called hearsay. You're not going to go based off of the hearsay. You're going to go off of the facts, right? If these claims are being made, then we need to be doing research into this situation. We can't just sit here and say, hey, these claims are false because they have to do with Trump, and these claims are true because they have to do with Bill Clinton. In both cases, if we're going to look at all of this from a lens of, hey, until this is proven, we're not going to go in and blame anyone, then for everyone should get the same fair share of treatment here. Because I don't believe anything Ghislaine Maxwell has to say. She clearly can be bought. She clearly is being treated well by the Trump administration. So of course she's going to lie and say Trump had nothing to do with it. That's just my opinion, bro. That's just what I'm thinking here. I want y'all to talk to me in the comments. Let me know what y'all think, because I could be wrong. You feel what I'm saying? But the reality is, Trump is in these files and it don't look too good based off of what's being said. And these aren't the only allegations against him. Let's not forget about the 14-year-old girl who claimed that Trump did what he did with her and off the child. I don't know how real that is. They're claiming that's fake too. But nobody's making these claims about Obama. Nobody is making these claims about other Democratic presidents. So it's interesting that it's only Trump that is being represented here. It's pretty interesting to me.
Says Virginia Roberts was someone who was stolen from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago to go work for Epstein. Trump has talked about this quite a bit, quite often. She's also one of the main whistleblowers in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. And she has said dozens of times that Trump did nothing wrong.
Okay, so he's reading the exact same propaganda ridden fucking article from Fox News. That's what he's doing. He's reading the exact same thing, and he's just gonna side with the claims of Fox News because Fox News is the arbiters of truth. They tell the truth all the time, bro. They have no reason to be leaning one way, right? So we're just gonna believe what they say because we're living in an era where we just believe the major news media, right? That's 2026, right? This is the new major news media era, right? I thought we was going against that. No? Anyway, let's hear what my boy Benny Johnson has to say. Let's continue to hear this.
That's in sworn testimony, court testimony, and so on. And in her book. Of course, she has also talked about Bill Clinton. Trump talked about Bill Clinton, by the way. Be a strange way to start your political career to go talk about all of your crimes if you are such a monster and you did so many monstrous things with Jeffrey Epstein. Why would you do this on stage?
Bill Clinton.
10 years ago.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Why would you tell on yourself there? Nobody really knew who Jeffrey Epstein was at that time. That was like in 2015, this clip.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's hard for me to watch this because your arguments, bro, they're not good arguments. A mastermind psychopathic liar, a politician, another word for that. They know how to misconstrue the truth. They know how to play things in a way that's going to look a certain way, right? Like, this is a long-term strategy these guys are playing. Why are we just believing politicians are like regular human beings? Since when do we believe that, bro? Since when do we look at politicians like they are the arbiters of truth and that they don't manipulate people and that they are not corrupt? Because as far as I've known, corruption is mainly in people with power. Mainly involves people with power. And guess what? Just like Hitler had an audience, a lot of these politicians do too. They have people that's going to side with them and be on their dicks heavy. Crazy how these narratives just seem to just always find a way to paint the opposition in the negative light, bro. Listen, this is my thing, bro. If Bill Clinton was in these fucking Epstein files, get him the fuck out of here. If Barack Obama was in the Epstein files, get him under the prison, bro. If Michelle Obama's in the Epstein files, put her under the prison, bro. If Hillary Clinton, put her under the prison. Who else? If Mamdani is in the Epstein files, bro, get him out of here, bro. I'm saying this. I don't give a shit, bro. Whoever is in the Epstein files got to get out of here, bro. And I'm talking about, I don't even think jail is enough for these guys, bro. All right? Like, I'm being real with you here. We don't care who it is, Republican or Democrat. Get them the fuck out of here. It's that serious. But it's all about one side or the other. That's what it's all about. Craziness. I don't even know if I want to go deeper into this. Because the whole thing is, we already know what we're going to get. We're going to get one side versus the other side. Believe me or you believe the next guy. I don't believe none of this shit, man. I believe that there's some sick people in power that have done some very debaucherous and deprived things that need to be the fuck up out of here. That's what I believe. But maybe we're not going to get that. And excuse my language, bro. I'm just very passionate about this subject.
The island was an absolute cesspool.
And Trump always knew how to play this hand. Obviously, it got under his skin that everybody was accusing him of wrongdoing. And that's exactly, Trump knew that this was going to happen. As soon as the loons knew that money could be made, they went crazy with allegations. This one said Trump had calendar girls at party at Mar-a-Lago. This is wild and total tabloid worthy. Obviously, the Epstein file has gossip emails blasting Trump, but no dirt. Nothing has been found so far in it.
What I find interesting is that, the FBI probably gets millions of tips, millions of communications that are BS. But you don't see those being released and talked about. Or maybe you do, because I've never gone through a file drop. I went through the Epstein files the first time around a little bit, but for the most part, I don't really know what all they present in the media, in these drops. So there's a possibility that in these drops, they do always release even the claims that are from sources that are like illegitimate. If that's the case, then the thing about it is I'm willing to believe what this guy is saying in the sense of, hey, this is not the real story here. I just don't understand why that would be a part of the release. Maybe it's just how they're going about transparency, but the fact is they're redacting names here. So somebody who's crazy, who doesn't know anything, how is he going to know the specific people that are involved? Like, they're redacting names. How would he know the specific people involved if he's just crazy? How would he know? Like, let's be real there. Like, explain that to me, Benny Johnson. How would this crazy, non-credible source know who the names are to specifically pinpoint those people if he's just a crazy source we can't believe? Notice the language here. These propaganda is all about discrediting the source. It's not about discrediting the logic. Because the thing is, okay, a better way to prove that this is fake is to actually investigate it, to actually go back in the timeline and kind of see, where was Trump on this day? Where were these people on this day? But if you're just going to blindly believe the Fox News narrative, then what are you doing other than being a Fox News shrill or whatever you call it? I don't know. Because I don't just blindly believe narratives anymore, bro. Republican or Democrat. But if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the sub button, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.